There's Si's first photograph with the Rock Island team. I wish I could zoom in, but the quality wasn't very good back then, so really I can't really see much, but kind of can see his eyes a little bit. His team nicknamed him Silas Cannonball Johnson. The Islanders called him that because of that right arm that was like a cannon that just shot right past everything. As of May 28th, right after the team, he had 4 wins and 1 loss on his record. In August 1928, he had a 1910 pitching record with Rock Island, and he was signed to the majors by Bill Rourke from the Cincinnati Reds. On his first day, Todd Cobb retired. September 11, 1928, Todd Cobb retired. On that same day, he struck out a very popular shortstop named Rabbit because he was fast. Walter Marinville was Cy Johnson's very first strikeout. When Cy went to spring training in 1929, he got mugged in Chicago. He was pulled into an alley with a revolver in his ribs, and they took $180 of his cash. The only thing he didn't take was his train ticket to Florida for spring training. So Cy arrived penniless to camp, and all those mean major league elders teased him terribly, saying, "Stick him up, rookie," and they popped out from corners to scare him. He had a good time. He was still kind of amateur to them, so Cy was sent down to the 1929 Columbus Senators, which was owned by the Cincinnati Reds. It was their farm team. They wanted him to get a little bit more talent in the minors, and he did fantastic with a 16-13 pitching record earned in 1929. The Reds brought him back. In 1930, he had a 3-1 pitching record at the age of 23. He was some great shots. So young. From 1930 to 1945, he and his stepbrother, Glenn Samuelson, leased the Norway store. Whenever they weren't, when I wasn't playing ball, it was his turn to watch the store. Cy had a great time here. In fact, 2 ball players visited the Norway store. I wish I was able to include. There was a photograph of Dizzy Dean, one of Cy's exciting teammates. He was a jokester. I have a photograph of them right in front of the Norway store playing checkers, but I wasn't able to get around it. In 1931, Cy still with the Reds, and he met with this man known as Hack Wilson. Hack Wilson was a hell of a ball player at 56 home runs, and the last home run that he made as a Chicago Cub was handed to him by Cy Johnson. Pat Wilson was elected to the Hall of Fame in '79, as well as this gentleman here. This is Billy Herman. On this same game, they gave Pat Wilson a home run. Cy pitched to this gentleman and took his first debut at bat. Cy pitched to him. Billy took a swing, knocked a foul. It spun in reverse English and knocked Billy out cold right at the plate. He was forever linked to Cy as the pitcher that knocked him out his first at bat. In 1931, he had an 11-19 pitching record, 262 innings pitched. Now, in Cy's defense, and you're going to hear me say this a lot through this presentation, the Cincinnati Reds could not hit. Cy was a great pitcher, it's just there were no hits on the board, no runs could come in because the team couldn't bat. In 1932, he got a little bit more time on the mound. He had 13 wins and 15 losses. Once again, waiting for runs to come that didn't get there. October 5th, he married his sweetheart in 1932, and they went on their honeymoon to Picnic Point in Madison, Wisconsin, right there at the tip there. That was their honeymoon. This is a photograph. In 1933, they created a book with a gentleman by the name of Harold Speed Johnson, who was a sports writer. He had an idea to get every major league player, their recent photographs, all together in a book with a short synopsis. It was a big project. He did it right in Chicago, 2 separate hotels. Whenever the American League would visit, they'd go to one hotel in the National League, would go to the other hotel, and they'd all line up and put on their tie and put his tie and take their snapshot for this book. The book is really hard to find now. It's really rare. I know there's one copy at the Cooperstown Hall of Fame preserved because the pages are really falling apart. I have one of these pages that I'm going to donate to the museum tonight. I have this exact page that I will be donating because it belongs here. Also, in this photograph, you're going to see a small little disc. That little disc is a thing that came out in 1933. It was a piece of gum in between two metal discs, and when you put them together, the rhyme was, put button 1 and button number 2 together and make a double header. That is what the gun was called, double header baseball gun. That is one piece from the pack, and that's a Cy Johnson piece. Very hard to find, too. That year in 1933, he had a 7-win, 18-loss record. Once again, no runs were coming for him. September 6, 1933, his brother Jesse Johnson died of scarlet fever with pneumonia. A few months later, Prohibition was repealed. Everybody was having a drink. And in 1934, March 1934, a few months later, this gentleman in the photograph is Paul Crosby Jr. Most of you probably recognize him Crosby from old-time radios. This is the man that was in charge of him. He was a billionaire in the day. He bought the Cincinnati Reds, hopefully to add some money to the team and get more hitting on it. This is a good shot of Cy where he talks a lot about even his father. His father taught him a lot about the game. They've got a sketch of Nell Johnson in there, crouched down with the glove. I think it's a good artwork drawing of Cy, much similar to the photograph from the Who's Who of Baseball, where he's got his nice tie on and his hair slicked back. In 1934, Cy started becoming a little bit more famous. He had his baseball card from the 1934 batter up. I know that this card is available to be seen at the library and at the Calico Cafe. They have a picture up there. And there's a 1934 J.C. Higgins youth glove known as the Cy Johnson Jr. Now, Cy didn't have any kids, but the youth model was called a junior. So it's a smaller glove. In fact, I have it with me. I'm going to pass it around, let you guys look at it. This is an original 1934 Cy Johnson Jr. glove. And back in the day, it was a whopping $4 per bottle. And that was big money. The J.C. Higgins company, I also donated a glove like this. Not this one I just got a few months ago, but the one I donated to the San Diego Museum here. It's a little bit more beat up, but it is an original, and I gave a history with it that you guys can read about. A lot of interesting history about this glove. Also, Cy made it on a matchbook cover by the Diamond Match Company in 1934. They came out in 3 colors, green, orange, and red. June 8, 1934, Cy is recognized with the Cincinnati Reds as the first major league team to travel by plane, which is a nice distinction to have. Cy went on there. 1934 was a tough season for Cy. In fact, it was the worst season of his career. He had 7 wins and 22 losses. Even Kyle Crosby couldn't get better hitting on the team.